Hi, everyone. Quick one for you. Make sure you subscribe and like before we start. Thank you. The morning sun filters through the curtains as I sit on the edge of the bed, watching Elena sleep. Her blonde hair spills across the pillow, her face peaceful. She stirs slightly, her lips parting in a soft sigh. I lean down, pressing a gentle kiss to her forehead. She smiles, eyes still closed, and murmurs, "Morning, love." "Morning," and I reply, my voice soft, savoring the moment. These small gestures have become our routine, a way to stay connected despite the long hours my job demands. I'm a financial consultant, 35 years old, and my life is built on precision and control. Elena and I have been married for 7 years. It hasn't always been easy, but I've always believed we're solid. I get dressed quietly, pulling on my tailored suit, adjusting the tie in the mirror. The man staring back at me is composed, every detail in place. Elena's voice pulls me back. "Are we still on for dinner tonight?" "Of course," I say, smiling at her reflection. "I'll make reservations." She nods, but there's a distance in her eyes, a shadow that I've noticed more often lately. I push the thought aside. Work stress, I tell myself. My job keeps me busy, but I've made an effort to be present. I've ignored those subtle changes, her late nights, the guarded look when she checks her phone. I've rationalized it away, clinging to the belief that we're still in love. We share a quick kiss before I leave. As I step into the elevator, I check my phone, scanning through emails and messages. Just as I reach the lobby, an anonymous text pops up. The sender is unknown. My thumb hovers over the screen before curiosity gets the better of me. I tap it open. The video starts playing. My breath catches in my throat. It's Elena, in a hotel room. She's not alone. The man with her is younger, fit, and they're in the middle of something I can't unsee. I feel the ground shift beneath me, the world blurring at the edges. Everything inside me freezes, my pulse pounding in my ears. It's her. There's no mistaking it. I want to scream, to smash the phone against the wall, but I can't move. My mind races, trying to make sense of what I'm seeing. This isn't possible. Not Elena. Not us. The video ends, leaving me staring at the screen, the final image burned into my brain. In that instant, the life I thought I knew, the life I thought we had, shatters into a million pieces. I'm left standing in the lobby, numb, my heart pounding with betrayal and rage. I know everything has just changed. There's no going back. I don't confront Elena right away. The video haunts me, playing on an endless loop in my mind. But I hold back. It's not the time. I need to know more before I act. So I do what I've never done before. I hire a private investigator. A man named Grayson. He's sharp, discreet, inexpensive. I don't care about the cost. This is about my life, about getting the truth. Grayson works fast. Within a few days, he gives me what I need, the details of Elena's affair. It's been going on for months, maybe longer. The lover is a younger man, someone from her office, a colleague, which makes it worse somehow. It's not just a fling. They've been careful, meeting in out-of-the-way places, avoiding patterns. But not careful enough. Grayson has photos, texts, everything. When I see the pictures, it feels like a knife twisting in my gut. They're together at a bar, close, intimate. Then there's the hotel room again, the same one from the video. They look comfortable there, like it's their regular spot. I can't stop looking at the images, burning them into my brain. Each one confirms what I already knew but refused to believe. The rage inside me grows, but I force it down. I'm not ready to explode, not yet. I want her to feel what I'm feeling. She needs to understand the depth of the pain she's caused. At home, I act normal, even though every word she says, every touch, feels like poison. I smile, make love to her, play the part of the devoted husband, but it's all an act. Inside, I'm planning. My thoughts are a chaotic mix of sadness and fury, all driven by a need for revenge. I imagine 100 different scenarios, each one darker than the last. But I settle on something special, something that will destroy both her and the lover. They think they're being careful, that they're safe in their little bubble of lies. They have no idea what's coming. I decide on a dramatic reveal. Something she'll never forget. A night at the same hotel where they've met so many times before. I booked the room next door to theirs, making sure everything is perfect. I want her to be terrified, to know that I've been watching, that I know everything. I order a custom-made gift box, something that will haunt her for the rest of her life. Inside, I place the evidence, photos, messages, a letter that spells out every lie she's told, every betrayal. The day arrives and I'm ready. I tell Elena I'm working late, but I'm already at the hotel setting up. I'm in the room next to theirs, my heart pounding as I listen to them through the wall. It takes everything I have to stay in control, to keep from kicking the door down and ending it all right then. But I wait. I need this to play out exactly as I've planned. When the time is right, I access the room's audio system remotely. I've rigged it to play a message I recorded earlier. My voice, cold and calculated, fills the room. Elena, it says, in 2 minutes you're going to lose everything. Imagine her face, the shock, the fear. I wish I could see it, but that's part of the plan too. She needs to feel isolated, alone, with no idea where the threat is coming from. The next step is the delivery. I've arranged for a hotel staff member to bring the box to their door. It's wrapped neatly, like a present. I watch through the peephole as the staff member knocks and hands it over. The lover takes it inside and I hold my breath. There's silence for a few moments, and then I hear it. The lover's scream. He bolts from the room, not even bothering to grab his clothes. He runs down the hall, past my door, his face a mask of terror. I stay where I am, letting him go. He's not my target. Not really. I only care about what happens next. Elena is alone now. She doesn't chase after him. Instead, she's frozen, staring at the open box, at the contents inside. I can imagine her thoughts, the realization crashing down on her. She knows I'm behind this. She knows I've seen everything, that I've planned this moment down to the last detail, but what's really eating at her is what comes next. She's wondering how far I'll go, what I'm capable of. I step out into the hallway, walking slowly toward her room. My heart pounds, adrenaline surging as I get closer. I stand in front of the door, listening. I can hear her sobbing, quietly, the sound muffled. The power I feel in this moment is intoxicating. I want to go in, to see her face, to watch her crumble in front of me. But I resist. This is enough for now. She's broken. She knows it, and so do I. Instead of confronting her, I slip a note under the door. It's simple, just a few words. You know what you did, now you'll pay. I turn and walk away, leaving her to process everything. My work here is done for tonight, but it's only the beginning. I'm not finished with her yet. There's still more to come, more ways to make her suffer for what she's done. As I leave the hotel, I feel a strange mix of emotions. There's satisfaction, sure, but also a hollow emptiness. The revenge I've planned so carefully doesn't feel as sweet as I thought it would. There's a part of me that still loves her, that remembers the good times we shared. But that part is buried deep now, overshadowed by the betrayal, by the need to hurt her as much as she's hurt me. Back home, I don't sleep. I sit in the dark, replaying the events of the night over and over. I keep expecting her to call, to try and explain, but the phone stays silent. She's probably too scared, too ashamed. I want her to be afraid of me, to wonder what I'll do next. I want her to feel the same helplessness I felt when I watched that video, the same despair. The next morning, I act as if nothing has happened. I go through the motions, showering, dressing, making coffee. I'm waiting for her to come home, to face me. I imagine the confrontation, the tears, the apologies. I've rehearsed my lines 100 times in my head. I'll be calm, detached, the one in control. But as the day drags on, the anticipation gnaws at me. What if she doesn't come home? What if she decides to run, to disappear? The thought makes my chest tighten. I can't let her get away that easily. When she finally walks through the door, it's late. She's disheveled, her eyes red from crying. For a moment, she just stands there, staring at me. I hold her gaze, my expression blank. Inside, I'm seething, but I don't let it show. I need to hear what she'll say first. Elena, I say, my voice steady. Where have you been? She doesn't answer right away. Instead, she collapses onto the couch, burying her face in her hands. I wait, the silence stretching between us. Finally, she looks up, tears streaming down her cheeks. I'm sorry, she whispers, her voice trembling. I'm so sorry. I nod slowly as if I'm considering her apology. But I'm not ready to forgive, not even close. Sorry doesn't cut it, Elena, I say, my tone icy. You didn't just betray me, you destroyed everything we had. She breaks down, sobbing uncontrollably. Part of me wants to comfort her, to tell her everything will be okay, but I can't. The image of her with him is still too fresh, too painful. Instead, I stand there watching her unravel. This is what I wanted, isn't it? For her to feel the weight of her actions, to suffer as I have. After what feels like hours, she finally calms down, wiping her eyes with the back of her hand. What do you want from me? She asks, her voice barely a whisper. I take a deep breath, choosing my words carefully. I want you to understand what you've done, I say, and I want you to know that this isn't over. You're going to pay for this, Elena. One way or another. Her eyes widen in fear and I can see the panic setting in. She knows I'm serious. She knows I'm capable of following through on my threats. That's what I wanted all along, to make her realize that I'm not the man she thought I was. I'm something else now, something darker. And I won't stop until I've made her feel every ounce of the pain she's caused me. With that, I turn and leave the room, leaving her to sit in her misery. The game has only just begun, and I'm determined to see it through to the end. Elena doesn't come home that night. I watch the live feed from the camera hidden in our bedroom, the one I installed months ago to catch her in the act. She's sitting on the bed in that hotel room, her hands shaking as she tries to compose herself. I watch her as she sobs quietly, her tears staining the sheets where she probably laid with him. The box is still open on the floor, its contents scattered, my revenge in physical form. But I don't feel the satisfaction I expected. Instead, there's a hollow ache in my chest, a gnawing emptiness. This was supposed to be the moment where I reclaim my power, but watching her crumble doesn't give me the closure I craved. The feed cuts out after a few hours when she finally leaves the hotel, her face a mask of fear and exhaustion. She doesn't go home. Instead, she checks into another hotel across town. I know because I've been tracking her phone. The next morning, I wake up to an empty house. It feels foreign now, like someone else's life. Elena's presence lingers in every room, in the scent of her perfume still clinging to the air, in the half-drunk glass of wine on the kitchen counter. My mind is a whirlwind of conflicting emotions. I've gotten what I wanted. I've torn her world apart, but I'm still consumed by anger, sadness, and a bitter sense of loss. I go to work, but I can't focus. My thoughts keep drifting back to her, to the look on her face when she saw the contents of the box. I find myself reaching for my phone, almost dialing her number, but I stop. I can't let her see me falter. I need to stay strong, to keep up the facade. By lunchtime, I can't take it anymore. I leave the office and drive around aimlessly, ending up at the hotel where she stayed last night. I park across the street watching the entrance. Part of me hopes to see her, to confront her, but I know it's too soon. She's still reeling, probably trying to figure out her next move. Later that evening, I return home, half expecting her to be there waiting for me. But the house is still empty. I pour myself a drink and sit in the dark, my mind spinning. I think about everything that's happened, every step that's led to this moment. I wonder if I've gone too far, if there's any way back from this. But then I remember the video, the way she looked at him, and the anger flares up again. Days pass and she doesn't come home. She's staying at a different hotel now, moving around to avoid me, I guess. But I keep tabs on her, watching from a distance. I'm not ready to confront her face to face. Not yet. I want her to stew in her guilt, to feel the weight of what she's done. I want her to realize there's no escape from this. But then something unexpected happens. I get a call from Grayson, the private investigator. He sounds uneasy, which isn't like him. He tells me that Elena's lover, the guy from the video, has gone missing. He was last seen fleeing the hotel after opening the box, and no one's heard from him since. His phone's been switched off, and his apartment is empty. Grayson's contacts in the police department are starting to get involved, but they're keeping it quiet for now. I feel a surge of panic. This wasn't part of the plan. I never intended for the lover to disappear. My goal was to scare him off, to make him run, but not to the point of vanishing completely. The thought that I might be responsible for something worse gnaws at me, but I push it down. This is what they deserve, I tell myself. This is the price for their betrayal. Elena finally reaches out a few days later. She calls me from an unknown number, her voice trembling. "We need to talk," she says, and I can hear the fear laced in her words. "About what?" I ask coldly, even though I already know. "About everything," she says, her voice barely above a whisper. "Please, can we meet?" I agree to meet her, but on my terms. I choose a public place, a coffee shop downtown where I know she won't make a scene. When I arrive, she's already there, sitting at a table in the corner. She looks pale, her eyes red and puffy from crying. She's not wearing any makeup, and she looks like she's barely slept. For a moment, I almost feel sorry for her, but I quickly shove that feeling aside. She starts talking as soon as I sit down, her words tumbling out in a rush. She tells me how sorry she is, how it was a mistake, how she never meant for any of this to happen. She tries to explain, saying she was confused, that she was going through a rough time, but I can't hear it. Her excuses sound hollow, meaningless. I let her talk, though, let her dig herself deeper into the hole she's created. When she finally stops, I lean forward, my voice low and controlled. "What do you think happens now, Elena? Do you think we just go back to how things were?" She shakes her head, tears filling her eyes again. "I don't know. I don't know what to do." I take a deep breath, trying to keep my anger in check. "You've destroyed everything," I say slowly, letting each word sink in. "You didn't just betray me, you broke us. There's no fixing this." She looks down at the table, her hands trembling. "What do you want me to do?" she whispers. I don't answer right away. Instead, I pull out my phone and show her something I've been keeping. Another video, one she hasn't seen. It's from the hidden camera in our bedroom, showing her and her lover together, laughing, kissing. Her face pales as she watches, and when the video ends, she looks up at me, horror etched on her face. "I've known for a long time," I say quietly. "I've watched you lie to me over and over, and now it's my turn." She starts to cry, but I don't comfort her. I just watch, detached, as she breaks down in front of me. This is what I wanted, isn't it? To see her suffer, to make her feel the way I've felt for months. But as I sit there watching her cry, I start to feel something else, a strange sense of pity. She looks so small, so broken, and I realize that I'm not just punishing her, I'm punishing myself too. The days that follow are a blur of tension and silence. Elena moves back into the house, but we barely speak. She's constantly on edge, jumping at every sound, every unexpected knock at the door. The disappearance of her lover hangs over us like a dark cloud. The police come by once, asking questions, but they don't have much to go on. Elena lies to them, saying she hasn't seen or heard from him in days, and I back her up, playing the concerned husband. But the strain is getting to her. She's not sleeping, barely eating. She looks haunted, like she's being followed by ghosts. I watch her unravel, knowing that I'm the one pulling the strings, but instead of feeling triumphant, I just feel empty. I wanted revenge, and I got it, but at what cost? We're both trapped in this nightmare now, and there's no way out. One night, she finally confronts me. It's late, and I'm sitting in the living room, staring at the TV, but not really watching it. She comes in, her face pale and drawn. "Did you do something to him?" she asks, her voice trembling. I look at her, surprised. "What are you talking about?" She takes a step closer, her eyes wild. "To him? To Michael, did you do something to him?" For a moment, I consider lying, but then I see the desperation in her eyes, the fear. She's already convinced that I did something terrible, and nothing I say will change that. He ran, I say flatly. He was scared, and he ran. That's all. She doesn't believe me. I can see it in her eyes, but she's too afraid to push further. She just nods slowly, tears slipping down her cheeks. This is all my fault, she whispers. I did this. I don't respond. I let her believe what she wants, let her carry that guilt. It's easier that way. But as she walks away, I'm left with a sinking feeling in my gut. This has gone too far. I've lost control of the situation, and now it's spiraling into something darker, something I never intended. The next morning, I find her in the kitchen, staring blankly at a cup of coffee she hasn't touched. She looks up when I walk in, her eyes hollow. We can't keep doing this, she says quietly. It's destroying us. I nod, but I don't know what to say. She's right. We're both falling apart, and there's no end in sight. I've been so focused on making her pay that I didn't realize I was paying the price too. We need to talk, she says, her voice trembling. Really talk. About everything. I agree, but I'm not sure where to start. The anger, the betrayal, the revenge, it's all mixed up now, a tangled mess that I don't know how to unravel. But I know one thing for sure. We can't keep living like this. Something has to change before we destroy each other completely. The house is suffocating, the walls closing in with the weight of everything unsaid. I can feel the tension simmering just beneath the surface, ready to explode at any moment. Elena and I move around each other like strangers, avoiding eye contact, barely speaking. The air between us crackles with unspoken accusations, resentments that have festered and grown toxic. I know it's only a matter of time before something gives. It happens late one night. We're both in the kitchen, the silence between us unbearable. Elena is at the counter, pretending to clean up, but I can see her hands trembling. I'm nursing a drink, the liquid burning its way down, not enough to numb the thoughts that won't stop swirling in my head. Finally, I can't take it anymore. You knew, didn't you? I say, my voice cutting through the silence. You knew about the box. She freezes, her back still to me. What are you talking about? She asks, but her voice is too controlled, too careful. Don't lie to me, I snap, my temper flaring. You've known for days. You're not as good at hiding things as you think. She turns slowly, her eyes wide, but there's a defiance there too, a spark of the woman I once knew. What do you want from me? She says, her voice trembling now. An apology? Is that what you want? Because I don't have one left in me. I want the truth, I say, my voice low and dangerous. I want you to admit what you did. She slams the dishcloth down on the counter, her face twisting with anger. What I did? What about what you did? You think I don't know? You think I haven't figured it out? I step closer, my heart pounding in my chest. Figured what out? The box, she spits out. The message, the photos, everything. It was you. You set it all up. You wanted to destroy me. I don't deny it. I just stare at her, my eyes cold, daring her to keep going. And it worked, didn't it? I say quietly. You're destroyed. Her hands clench into fists, and I can see the fury in her eyes, the same rage I've felt every day since I saw that video. You're sick, she says, her voice shaking. You're a monster. I feel something snap inside me, the tight control I've kept for so long unraveling. You made me this way, I shout, my voice echoing through the empty house. You did this, you and him. You betrayed me, and now you want to play the victim. Tears spill down her cheeks, but she doesn't back down. Yes, I betrayed you, she says, her voice hoarse. But what you've done, it's worse. You didn't just want to hurt me. You wanted to destroy me. And I succeeded, I say, my voice dropping to a whisper. Didn't I? For a moment, we just stand there, glaring at each other, the hatred between us palpable. Then she does something unexpected. She reaches into the drawer by the sink and pulls out an envelope, holding it out to me. You want to know what was really in that box? She says, her voice thick with emotion. Read this. I take the envelope, my hands trembling slightly as I tear it open. Inside is a letter, handwritten, the words scrawled in a messy, frantic script. As I read, the blood drains from my face. It's a confession, a letter from me, written in a moment of clarity, or maybe madness, detailing every lie, every deceit, every plan I've set in motion. But that's not all. There's also a photograph, one of our wedding day torn in half. My side is burned, the edges singed, as if someone tried to erase me from the memory. There's more. At the bottom of the envelope is a small device, a hidden camera that must have recorded every move we made in the hotel room. And finally, a legal document, a draft of divorce papers, unsigned but ready to be delivered. It's a threat, a promise that I could destroy her completely, not just emotionally but legally, financially, in every way that matters. I stare at the contents of the envelope, my mind reeling. This wasn't part of the plan. I didn't put these things in the box. My head spins trying to make sense of it all. What What is this? I stammer, my voice unsteady. This, Elena says, her voice steady now, is what you've become. Or maybe what you always were. Someone who could do this. I don't even know who you are anymore. I look up at her, my mind racing. I didn't put these things in the box, but who did? Did she? Is this some kind of twisted mind game, a way to turn the tables on me? But as I look into her eyes, I realize she's not lying. She's just as shocked as I am, just as broken. For the first time, I see the truth. I've let my need for revenge consume me, to the point where I've lost sight of everything else. I've become the monster I accused her of being, and now there's nothing left but the wreckage of what we once had. I didn't put these in the box, I say, my voice barely above a whisper. She looks at me, her eyes filled with a mixture of fear and disbelief. Then who did? I don't have an answer. All I know is that everything has spiraled out of control, far beyond anything I intended. The realization hits me like a punch to the gut. I've lost everything. My wife, my marriage, my sense of self, and for what? A moment of satisfaction that turned to ashes in my mouth. I don't know, I admit, the words tasting bitter. I don't know anymore. We stand there in the kitchen, the silence between us heavy with the weight of our choices. The anger, the hatred, the desire for revenge. It all seems pointless now, just a smokescreen hiding the pain we both feel. I look at Elena, really look at her, and I see the woman I fell in love with. The woman I vowed to protect and cherish. But I also see the woman who betrayed me, who shattered my trust. The contradiction tears at me, and I don't know how to reconcile the two. We can't keep doing this, I say finally, my voice raw. We're destroying each other. She nods, wiping away the tears with the back of her hand. I know, but I don't know how to fix it. I take a deep breath, trying to find the words, but they won't come. There's nothing left to say. We've crossed a line and there's no going back, but I can't let it end like this, with both of us consumed by bitterness and regret. I don't want to hurt you anymore, I say, my voice cracking, but I don't know how to stop. She looks at me, her eyes softening just a little. Then maybe we need to stop trying to hurt each other. Maybe we need to let go. The words hang in the air, a fragile truce between two people who have done nothing but tear each other apart. I want to believe it's possible that we can find a way out of this mess, but the truth is I don't know if I can. I don't know if I can let go of the anger, the betrayal, the need for revenge that's driven me for so long. But I know one thing for sure, if we keep going like this, we'll destroy each other completely. And I can't let that happen, not to her and not to myself. I need time, I say, the words heavy with truth. Time to figure out what's left of us. If there's anything left. She nods, and for a moment we're just two broken people trying to find a way out of the darkness we've created. Take all the time you need, she says softly. I'll be here, I'm not running anymore. The confrontation is over, but the damage is done. We're both standing on the edge of a precipice, looking down into the abyss. But maybe, just maybe, there's a way back. Maybe there's a way to heal, to find some semblance of peace in the wreckage. As I leave the kitchen, the envelope still clutched in my hand, I know that this isn't the end. There's still more to face, more to confront. But for now, I'm done with revenge, done with the games. I just want to find a way to survive this, to come out the other side without losing myself completely. Elena watches me go, her eyes filled with a mixture of hope and resignation. We're not okay. Not by a long shot, but maybe, just maybe, we can find a way to be something else, something better. And as I close the door behind me, I feel a glimmer of something I haven't felt in a long time. It's not hope, not yet, but it's a start. I sit at the edge of the bed, staring at the wall as the weight of everything sinks in. The confrontation with Elena left me drained, but there's a strange clarity that comes with it. I've been spiraling down this dark path for so long, I almost forgot what it was like to see things clearly. But now, in the aftermath of our last argument, I realize that there's no salvaging this marriage. We're broken beyond repair, and clinging to the wreckage will only destroy us both. Elena's in the kitchen making coffee. It's one of those awkward mornings where we avoid each other's gaze, knowing that the conversation we need to have will only reopen the wounds that haven't even begun to heal. I hear the clink of the temperamental the soft sighs as she moves around the kitchen, trying to maintain some semblance of normalcy. But nothing is normal anymore, and we both know it. I make my way to the kitchen, leaning against the doorframe as I watch her pour 2 cups. She looks up, noticing me for the first time, and there's a flicker of something in her eyes. Pain, regret, maybe a glimmer of the love we used to share. She pushes one of the cups toward me, her hands trembling slightly. We need to talk, I say, my voice flat. I don't have the energy for anger anymore. I'm just tired, and I want this to end. She nods, taking a seat at the table. I know, she replies softly, her voice barely above a whisper. I sit across from her, wrapping my hands around the warm mug, not really drinking, just needing something to ground me. This isn't working, I start, my words slow and deliberate. We can't keep pretending everything's going to be okay. Elena's eyes well up with tears, and she looks down at her coffee as if searching for answers in the swirling liquid. I don't know what to say, she admits, her voice cracking. I've been trying, I don't know. Neither do I confess, the honesty of the statement surprising even me. But we can't keep doing this. It's tearing us apart. She nods, wiping at her eyes. I know, I'm so sorry for everything. For all of it. I let out a long breath, feeling the tension in my chest loosen just a bit. I am too, I say. But sorry doesn't fix this. I think we need to separate. The words hang in the air, heavy and final. Elena looks up at me, her face a mixture of relief and sorrow. Maybe you're right, she says after a moment. Maybe it's the only way. We sit in silence for a while, the reality of what we've just agreed on settling over us like a thick fog. There's no going back now. We're both too broken, too wounded to try and rebuild what's been lost. I'll talk to a lawyer, I say eventually, breaking the silence. We'll keep it amicable as much as we can. Elena nods, her expression resigned. Okay. It's not much, but it's a start. We've made the first step toward ending this night marker, and there's a strange sense of relief in that. It's not the ending I wanted, not the life I envisioned when I married her, but it's the ending we've come to. There's no other choice. The next few weeks are a blur of meetings with lawyers, dividing assets, and having difficult conversations with family and friends. It's exhausting, and I find myself withdrawing more and more, just wanting it to be over. Elena and I communicate only when necessary, discussing logistics and trying to remain civil. But the tension is always there, lurking beneath the surface, a constant reminder of the pain we've caused each other. One evening, after another long day of paperwork and meetings, I find myself alone in the house. Elena is staying with her sister for a while, giving us both some space to breathe. I wander through the empty rooms, feeling the ghost of our past life lingering in every corner. I end up in the bedroom, staring at the bed where we used to sleep together, where everything fell apart. I sit down, the silence pressing in on me, and I realize just how much I've lost. The anger, The need for revenge. It all seems so pointless now. All it's done is leave me empty, hollowed out by my own bitterness. I thought I could find some sort of justice, but all I found was more pain. As I sit there, I make a decision. I can't keep living like this. I need to find a way to move forward, to rebuild some semblance of a life. But first, I need to come clean, to face the consequences of my actions. I can't carry this burden anymore. The next day, I ask Elena to meet me at the house. She's hesitant, but she agrees, sensing the urgency in my voice. When she arrives, we sit in the living room, the tension between us thick and heavy. There's something I need to tell you, I start, my voice shaking slightly. Something I should have told you from the beginning. She looks at me, her eyes wary but curious. What is it? I take a deep breath, steeling myself for what I'm about to say. I was the one who set everything up. The box, the messages, the photos. I planned it all. Elena's face pales, her eyes widening in shock. You did all that? I nod, shame washing over me. Yes. I wanted to make you pay for what you did. I wanted you to feel the pain I felt. But it got out of control. I didn't expect it to go this far. She stares at me, her expression a mix of anger and disbelief. Why didn't you just tell me? Why didn't you confront me instead of doing all that? I was angry, I admit, my voice breaking. I didn't know how to deal with it, so I lashed out. I thought if I could make you suffer, it would make me feel better. But it didn't. It just made everything worse. Elena's eyes fill with tears, and she looks away, struggling to process what I've just told her. So, all of this, everything that's happened, it was all because of you. I nod, the weight of my guilt crushing me. Yes, and I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. She doesn't say anything for a long time, just sits there, tears streaming down her face. I can't blame her. I've shattered whatever trust we might have had left, and I don't know if we can ever repair it. Finally, she looks back at me, her voice trembling. So what now? What do we do? I don't know, I say honestly. But I do know that I can't keep living like this. I need to find a way to move on, to make amends for what I've done. And that starts with being honest with you. She nods, wiping her tears away. I appreciate that. But I don't know, if I can ever forgive you. I don't expect you to, I reply softly. I just wanted you to know the truth. We sit in silence, the enormity of everything hanging between us. There's no easy way forward, no simple solution to the mess we've created. But for the first time in a long time, I feel like I'm finally taking a step in the right direction. In the weeks that follow, we finalize the divorce. It's amicable, as much as it can be, but there's still a lingering tension, a sense of unresolved pain. We divide our assets, sell the house, and go our separate ways. It's painful, but it's also a relief. The weight of our toxic relationship is finally lifting, and I start to see a glimmer of hope for the future. I move into a small apartment downtown, trying to rebuild my life piece by piece. It's not easy, but I throw myself into work, into therapy, into anything that will help me move forward. I know I've made mistakes, huge, unforgivable mistakes, but I'm determined to learn from them, to become a better person. Elena and I keep in touch, but it's strained. We're civil, but there's an unspoken understanding that we can never go back to what we were. Too much has happened, too much damage has been done. But I hold on to the hope that, in time, we can find some form of closure, some way to move on without the bitterness that has defined our relationship for so long. One afternoon, I get a call from Elena. She sounds nervous, hesitant. Can we meet? She asks. There's something I need to tell you. I agree, curious and a little apprehensive. When we meet at a quiet cafe, she looks different, calmer, more at peace. But there's also a nervousness in her eyes that puts me on edge. I'm pregnant, she says, her voice trembling. And I don't know if it's yours or his. The world seems to tilt, and for a moment, I can't breathe. I wasn't expecting this. It's the last thing I thought I'd have to deal with. My mind races, trying to process what this means, what I'm supposed to do. I don't know what to say, I admit, my voice shaking. Neither do I, she replies, her eyes filled with fear. But I wanted you to know. I wanted us to figure this out together. I nod, my thoughts a chaotic mess. I never imagined I'd be in this situation, and I have no idea how to handle it. But as I sit there staring at her, I realize that I can't run from this. I have to face it, whatever it means. We'll do a DNA test, I say finally, my voice steadier than I feel, and we'll figure it out from there. Elena nods, relief washing over her face. Thank you, she says softly. I know this is a lot to take in. It is, but I know one thing for sure. I'm done running. I'm done hiding behind anger and revenge. It's time to face the consequences of my actions, whatever they may be. As we leave the cafe, I feel a strange sense of peace. It's not over yet, far from it, but I'm finally facing the reality of what my life has become. And maybe, just maybe, I can find a way to make things right, to start over, and to build something new from the ashes of my mistakes. I stare at Elena, her words echoing in my mind. Pregnant. My chest tightens as I try to process what she just told me. A part of me wants to deny it, to push the thought away, but the reality of it is sitting right in front of me. This changes everything. I thought we were finally on the path to moving on, to putting the past behind us. But now this. It's like a sick joke, another twist in a story that refuses to end. She sits across from me, her hands clenched together in her lap, her eyes full of uncertainty. I can see the fear there, the doubt, the same questions I'm asking myself. How far along? I finally ask, my voice rough. About 7 weeks, she replies, her voice trembling. I found out a few days ago. I nod, trying to do the math in my head. 7 weeks. It could be mine or it could be his. The thought makes me sick, and I grip the edge of the table to steady myself. You're sure? I ask, even though I know the answer. She wouldn't be telling me this if she wasn't sure. She nods, tears welling up in her eyes. I'm sure. The room feels like it's closing in on me, the walls pressing in from all sides. I can't think, can't breathe. This isn't how it was supposed to be. We were supposed to be done, finished. Now everything's tangled up again, and I'm right back where I started, confused, angry, and desperate for answers. We need to do a DNA test, I say, my voice barely above a whisper. We need to know. She flinches at my words, but she nods. I know, she says quietly. But we can't do it yet. We have to wait a few more weeks. A few more weeks. I don't know how I'm supposed to survive that long, not knowing, not having any control over what happens next. But there's nothing I can do. I just have to wait to endure this new hell I've found myself in. What are you going to do, to? I ask, trying to keep my voice steady. If it's his? She looks down at her hands, her shoulders slumping. I don't know, she admits. I haven't thought that far ahead. I just needed to tell you. The room is silent except for the sound of our breathing, both of us lost in our own thoughts. I don't know what to say, what to think. Part of me wants to run, to leave this all behind and never look back. But another part of me knows that's not an option. This is my responsibility, my mess to clean up, no matter how much I want to escape it. We'll figure it out, I say finally, my voice hollow. Whatever happens, we'll figure it out. She nods, but I can tell she's just as lost as I am. There's no easy answer to this, no clear path forward. We're both standing on the edge of a cliff, staring down into the abyss, not knowing if we'll survive the fall. The days drag on, each one longer than the last. I try to keep myself busy, to distract myself from the thoughts that won't leave me alone, but nothing works. I'm stuck in a loop, replaying every moment, every decision that led us here. I can't sleep, can't eat. All I can do is wait. Elena and I meet again a week later. We've barely spoken since the last time, both of us needing space to process everything. She looks tired, worn out, and I wonder if I look the same. I feel like a shell of myself, hollowed out by the weight of everything I'm carrying. We should talk about what happens next, she says, her voice soft but steady. I nod, though I don't know what to say. What do you want to do, Kim? I ask, forcing the words out. She takes a deep breath, her eyes searching mine. If it's yours, I think we should try to make this work, for the baby's sake. Her words hit me like a punch to the gut. Make this work. After everything that's happened, the idea seems impossible, but I can see that she means it. She's willing to try, and I don't know if I have it in me to do the same. And if it's his? I ask, dreading the answer. Her face crumples, and for a moment I think she might start crying. But she holds it together, her voice trembling as she says, if it's his? I don't know. I can't think that far ahead. I want to scream, to break something, to release the anger that's been building inside me for so long. But I can't. I have to stay calm, to think clearly. We'll cross that bridge when we get there, I say, my voice tight. But we need to be prepared for either outcome. She nods, but I can see the fear in her eyes, the uncertainty that's eating away at her. We're both terrified of what the future holds, and I don't know how to make it any better. All I can do is wait, hope for the best, embrace myself for the worst. The weeks crawl by, each one more agonizing than the last. I barely function, going through the motions at work, avoiding friends and family, isolating myself from everyone and everything. I can't bring myself to tell anyone what's going on. The shame, the guilt, it's too much. I don't want to see the pity in their eyes, don't want to explain how I let my life fall apart so completely. Finally, the day comes for the DNA test. Elena and I go to the clinic together, the tension between us so thick it's suffocating. We sit in the waiting room, both of us staring straight ahead, not speaking, not touching. The nurse calls us back, and I feel like I'm walking to my execution. The test is quick, just a swab of the inside of my cheek, and then it's over. The nurse tells us it will take a few days for the results to come back, and I feel like the ground is shifting beneath me again. More waiting, more uncertainty. I don't know how much more of this I can take. We leave the clinic in silence, both of us lost in our own thoughts. As we step outside, I turn to Elena, needing to say something, anything to break the tension. We'll get through this, I say, though I don't know if I believe it. She nods, but her eyes are distant, like she's already resigned to whatever fate has in store for us. I hope so, she says quietly before turning and walking away. The days that follow are some of the longest of my life. I barely sleep, my mind racing with thoughts of what the test results will say, what they'll mean for my future. I try to prepare myself for every possible outcome, but no matter how much I think about it, I can't seem to find any peace. Finally, the call comes. I'm at work, sitting at my desk, staring blankly at my computer screen when my phone rings. I see the clinic's number on the display, and my heart stops. I answer, my hand trembling as I hold the phone to my ear. Mr. Collins, the nurse says, her voice calm and professional. We have your test results. I feel like I'm about to pass out, but I manage to say, go ahead. There's a pause, a moment that stretches into eternity, and then she says, the results are conclusive. You are the father. Relief floods through me, so intense it almost brings me to my knees. I don't know what I expected, but hearing those words, knowing that the child is mine, it's like a weight has been lifted off my shoulders. I'm still in shock, still trying to process everything, but I can breathe again. Thank you, I say, my voice shaky. Thank you. I hang up, my mind racing. The child is mine. I'm going to be a father. It's overwhelming, terrifying, but there's a strange sense of calm that comes with it too. For the first time in what feels like forever, I have a direction, a purpose. This is my chance to make things right, to start over. I call Elena as soon as I can, needing to share the news with her. When she answers, I can hear the anxiety in her voice, the fear she's been carrying all this time. It's mine, I say, my voice steady. The baby is mine. There's a long pause, and then I hear her start to cry, the sound of relief mingled with all the emotions she's been holding back. Oh my God, she whispers, oh my God. I don't know what to say, how to comfort her, how to comfort myself. But I know we'll have to figure it out, together. We'll be okay, I say, trying to convince both of us. We'll make this work. She nods and I can hear her calming down, trying to pull herself together. I believe you, she says, her voice stronger. We can do this. We hang up, and I sit there staring at my phone, feeling like the world has just shifted beneath my feet. I'm going to be a father. It's terrifying, but it's also a chance to start over, to make amends for everything that's happened. There's still a lot of work to do, a lot of wounds to heal, but for the first time I feel like there's a way forward. It won't be easy, and there are no guarantees, but I'm ready to try. This is my chance to build something new, something better, and I'm not going to let it slip through my fingers. As I leave the office that day, I feel a sense of hope that I haven't felt in a long time. There's still a long road ahead, but I'm ready to face it, one step at a time. I stand outside my new apartment, watching the sunset paint the sky in shades of orange and pink. The warm breeze carries the scent of fresh-cut grass, a stark contrast to the cold emptiness that's lingered in my heart for so long. It's been months since the DNA test confirmed I was the father, and the news was like a lifeline, pulling me back from the abyss I'd been teetering on for so long. But the journey to this moment hasn't been easy. It's been a long, painful road, full of regret and soul-searching. I think back to everything that's happened, the betrayal, the revenge, the bitterness that consumed me. There were days when I didn't think I'd make it through, when the anger was too much, the guilt too heavy. But something changed after I found out the child was mine. It was as if the universe was giving me a second chance, a way to atone for the darkness I had unleashed. Elena and I have kept things civil for the most part. We're co-parenting now, learning how to navigate this new complicated relationship. There are still moments of tension, moments when the past threatens to pull us back under, but we're managing. We have to, for the sake of the child growing inside her. The day I went to the first ultrasound with her was a turning point. Watching that tiny heartbeat flicker on the screen, hearing the doctor talk about our baby's development, it made everything real in a way that nothing else could. In that moment, I knew I had to let go of the anger, the desire for revenge. There was no room for it in this new life, no place for it in the heart of the father I wanted to be. Elena and I talked for hours after that appointment, about our future, about how we could make this work. We agreed that while we couldn't be together as a couple anymore, we could still be partners in raising our child. We've started rebuilding some form of trust, but it's slow going, and I know it will take time before we can fully forgive each other and ourselves. Work has been a refuge for me, a way to channel my energy into something positive. I've thrown myself into my career, taking on new challenges, new projects, and it's helped me regain a sense of purpose. But I'm careful not to let it consume me like it did before. I've learned the hard way that there needs to be a balance, that I can't hide from my emotions and work. I've also started seeing a therapist, something I never thought I'd do. It's been difficult, confronting the parts of myself I'd rather ignore, but it's necessary. I'm learning how to manage my anger, how to let go of the need for control, and it's slowly helping me heal. I'm not the man I was before all of this, but maybe that's a good thing. Maybe I needed to be broken down to build myself back up stronger. Elena is different too. She's more grounded, more reflective. The pregnancy has changed her in ways I didn't expect. She's more open, more willing to talk about her feelings. And it's brought us to a place where we can have honest conversations without the undercurrent of resentment that used to be there. We're not friends, not yet, but we're working towards something that feels healthier, more sustainable. As I stand here watching the sun dip below the horizon, I feel a sense of peace that I haven't felt in a long time. The future is uncertain, but for the first time, I'm okay with that. I'm ready to embrace whatever comes next, to build a new life from the ruins of the old one. It won't be easy, but I'm determined to be the best father I can be, to give my child the love and stability I didn't have growing up. The sound of a text message pulls me from my thoughts. It's Elena asking if I'm free to go over the baby's room setup tomorrow. I smile, typing a quick reply, and as I do, I realize how far we've come. We've been through hell and back, but we're still standing, and that's something. As I slip my phone back into my pocket, I take one last look at the sky, now darkening into night. The stars are starting to come out, twinkling against the deep blue canvas. There's something comforting about the constancy of the night sky, a reminder that even in the darkest times, there's always light to be found. I turn and head inside, closing the door behind me. My new home is small but cozy, a place where I can start over, where I can focus on what really matters. The walls are bare for now, but I'll fill them with memories, with moments that remind me of how far I've come. I sit down on the couch, feeling the weight of the day slowly lift off my shoulders. There's still a lot to figure out, still challenges ahead, but I'm ready to face them. I'm ready to be the man, the father that I need to be. The journey to this point has been long and painful, but I've learned that even in the darkest times, there's always a chance for redemption, for growth. I've made mistakes, huge ones, but I'm working to make things right, to be better. And as I close my eyes, letting the peace of the evening wash over me, I know that I'm on the right path. There's hope in that, and for the first time in a long time, I feel like I'm finally where I'm supposed to be. The past will always be a part of me, a shadow that lingers, but it doesn't define me. What defines me is what I do now, how I move forward, how I embrace the second chance I've been given. And as I drift off to sleep, I'm filled with a quiet sense of optimism, of possibility. The future is unwritten, but it's mine to shape, and I'm ready to make it something worth living.